Hello and namaste. I just want to go over 5 things that you can do during these days that is going to boost your immunity and help you feel better overall on all levels, both physically, mentally, and emotionally. So what's essentially happening during this time, the first thing that we kind of want to steer clear from is the media. So we know that the media has a lot of negative information that it's putting out there. And what this is actually going to do to us if we're focusing on this negative information, it's really not bringing us to any conclusion. It's not helping us feel better. It's not increasing our immunity. It's not solving any problems, not resolving any issues. So essentially, watching the TV or going on social media and watching the headlines really doesn't serve us any good at all, essentially. Humans, generally, we have a tendency to think negatively. We'll think negatively about something before we think positive. And thinking positive and seeing the positive side of things it requires effort on our part. And this is why self-development, personal development is so important. And that's why everybody should work towards it, because we practice through self-development on seeing the challenges in all situations and overcoming those little challenges, not getting bogged down by negativity, by negative things. What negativity does is it brings us into this downward spiral, and it creates fear, it creates panic, it creates anxiety, it creates depression. It essentially doesn't leave room for hope. So we want to really stay away from negative sources, especially since we don't have all the facts. We really don't know if any of the information that we have is correct information. We don't know the outcome of any of this situation. All we can really do is work on ourselves during this time and try to make the best of the situation. I would really suggest, if you do need to watch the news, to really limit yourself to like 10 minutes a day, because it really is not going to serve any purpose. You know, you may need to check it to see if there's any specific closures, but it really doesn't resolve any issues for us. TV, as a human race in general, has not made us more intelligent. It has not improved marriages. It has not made us wealthier on a physical sense, but it hasn't made us wealthier either on an intellectual sense, or it hasn't made us any wealthier on a compassionate level, for example. It's really just entertainment, and entertainment really is it's really unnecessary. There's times when you may need to relax, but to really spend your days kind of zoning out, this is kind of just escapism. And even if you're watching movies 8 hours a day, or watching reruns 8 hours a day, or playing video games, everything is okay in a certain balance. But once we break that balance, and once we have an overconsumption of unnecessary entertainment, that's when problems start to occur. So 5 things that we can actually do to get us through these times that will help us actually refocus, recenter, reground is, number 1, we can read. And I say reading, especially if you can read some personal development books. This is going to be the best thing, how to deal with Anxiety, for example, how to deal with depression, how to deal with anger. These are some of the best books that you can read right now. If you are having anxiety, try to analyze it and find out what's causing it. And there's a lot of really good books that are written on the subject. A lot of, personal development books. And a lot of these books have exercises that you can do that is going to help reduce the anxiety. In yoga, we do pranayama. We also can work with mantras. So there's different techniques, there's different things that we can do that's going to help reduce the anxiety. Watching news is going to increase anxiety. It's going to increase fear, and that's not what we want. So that's what I would suggest, reading books. And if you do have an actual book, which I know is almost like a thing of the past now, but actual physical books are excellent because they help us retain information. The more senses that we can use on any particular activity, is going to help us retain information better. For example, a book is going to engage our eyesight. It's going to engage our touch. It's going to engage our sense of smell if we smell the book, for example. So we're utilizing other senses, and all those senses together help the information be absorbed into our cellular structure even more so. So that would be number one, read some books. Number two is do some cooking. Now, I know when I went to the stores the other day, the first things that were gone, besides toilet paper, which we all know this has been an issue, but the second things I noticed was the freezer section was empty. And a lot of people just want like quick fix, kind of like, I'm taking the TV dinner and I'm just going to put it in the microwave. First off, microwave is a source of radiation. Radiation kills our cells, and the more cells that are dying in our body, the worse we're going to feel. So besides that, processed foods in general, canned foods, microwaved foods, anything processed is just going to generally be lacking of nutrients. It's not going to be healthy. It's going to be loaded with salt, probably going to be added with sugar, a lot of preservatives. These are going to make us feel worse, okay? So we really want to eat as healthy as possible during this time. Get as much fresh foods that you can and start to cook your own food. Everybody should know how to cook at least 2 or 3 different things. Cooking also engages our senses, and it has a meditative effect. You're able to smell the foods, you're able to touch the foods, see the foods, hear the foods as they're cooking. So, even go on YouTube, 10 minutes, and you'll be able to find any recipe in the world. There is tons and tons of cooking videos on YouTube that are just excellent. They're so well done. They have, all the ingredients are listed. They're explained so well. And the cooking shows are generally very relaxing. So go on there, find a recipe. If you are already an avid cook, maybe try a different type of cuisine. Maybe try cooking something that you haven't previously ever cooked, and go on there and find a recipe. And especially if you're at home with your family, you can go ahead and you can engage the entire family with this new recipe, for example. So cooking would be number 2. Number 3 is going to be take up a new sport, for example. And this doesn't have to be a high cardio, high intensity, super sport, like you need weights and all of this. Since I personally teach yoga, I could suggest yoga because yoga is, as we all know, it is an excellent stress reliever. Many sports, especially in this time, if you're really anxiety ridden, have a lot of anxiety, and you're doing high intensity sports, this actually increases the stress in the body. And we want to actually reduce the stress. So yoga would be my personal suggestion, but if you do find a light cardio activity or an aerobic activity or Pilates or even a dance. There are dance videos, there are ballet videos, there are all kinds of videos on YouTube that you can go ahead and search through. You can find something you like and you can take, something new, learn something new. And that brings me to number 4, which is going to be learn something new. There's so many creative videos that you can find on YouTube. How to paint, how to draw, how to, do crafts, how to sew, how to crochet. These don't have to be really chaotic, confusing times. If we just know how to make use with the time that we have, this is actually the time that we have in front of us is actually almost a blessing if we look at it in this way. There's a lot of things changing right now. There's a lot of uncertainty, but one thing that we do have is we do have control of how we can pass our time, how we can go through our day. And with all of the resources, with all the different videos and things that we can do on learning on the internet, there's really no excuse. Especially what my suggestion would be is to take a video, learn how to do something new, and then now that you've acquired that skill, you can put the computer to the side. Being on the computer, I don't suggest being on the computer for 10 hours a day simply because of the radiation. The Wi-Fi still causes radiation, which makes us generally feel pretty bad by the end of the day. Try to cut it off by a certain time of the evening. But if you do use the resource, maybe let's say that you're learning a language online, for example, maybe you just need to listen for a half hour, 40 minutes, and then do some written exercises. Or, if you're learning crocheting, for example, watch the tutorial and then go on your own and, do your own creative activity from what you've just learned. So you don't need to stay glued to the computer either 24 hours a day. And the 5th thing is to spend time alone. And I'll say in meditation, but I don't want to use that word meditation because it kind of puts some people off. Some people are afraid of the word meditation. Oh, I don't know how to do it. I've never done it. I'm scared. I don't know how to sit for very long. So I don't want to even use the word meditation. I just want to say, just find a place, a quiet place, and sit quietly. And that's all you have to do. Just sit quietly and just observe your breathing. Just observe your inhale, observe your exhale. Observe your inhale, observe your exhale. And that's it. Don't do anything else. Any thoughts that come up, as much as you can, just come back to the breath. So it's really an exercise in concentration, which is what meditation is. Meditation is concentration to the point of being so absorbed in the concentration that you're no longer concentrating. Focus on that breath and just do this as a repeated exercise. And at first, you may only be able to sit like 2 or 3 minutes at a time, and that's absolutely fine. Sit for 2 or 3 minutes and then work your way up to it. Work your way up to 5 minutes, up to 10 minutes. Eventually, over the course of many years, you may be up to 60 minutes or 2 hours. So those are just 5 things that you can do during this time right now that maybe things are not going so well and it's kind of a tough time for everybody. So go ahead, let me know any comments or questions that you have, and let me know which technique you like, which suggestion you like the best. And if you have any other suggestions you'd like to add, please add them in the comment box below, and make sure to subscribe if you would like to follow my videos, and make sure to hit the like button, and namaste.